finally, I'm like, it's clear, shoot it. So he shoots it and we wait a little bit and he's like, are you sure I hit it? Because there's all these elk now going away. He's like, there's a big bull up there. And I look at a bull and I'm like, dude, that's a dink. And I look to the right and I'm like, oh, maybe you didn't hit it. So I'm like looking at my phone, looking at the bull, and I'm like, dude, you hammered the bull. Two, that bull's 4 inches longer, 4 inches narrower. And I'm like, where did that bull come from? That bull that we shot no one had ever seen before and snuck in on our climb. I texted Blake and I said, dude, it's giant. I got up to it and I was like, dude, it's over 350 and I think it's 4 feet wide. That was definitely the highlight of my season, was that specific trip and that hunt.
You're listening to The Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. I'm Bruno Fallon. I've spent my 4-decade career in some of the most elite units in the United States Special Operations community, where I learned that elite operators aren't made overnight. They're forged through hardship, discipline, and relentless drive. In each episode, I sit down with the most accomplished and innovative leaders in special operations, industry, coaching, and athletes of all disciplines. Let's jump right in. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. I'm still Bruno. We've got my my brother in crime here, Aron Snyder, for our 4th or 5th podcast together.
Yeah, at least that. Yeah,
he's in town here for business, where we're doing some Born Primitive stuff, and this is gonna be the best podcast you've ever heard out to us. You want to know why? We have no freaking agenda. It's just dudes talking. We're gonna go all over the place, and we're gonna have some fun. But Aron, welcome.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's a good trip because what do they say on Trailer Park Boys? Instead of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, we're going to get 2 birds stoned at once.
That's right.
A very productive day. There's a lot going on. My flight got canceled Monday because I was supposed to be here for 2 days. And so now I'm only here for 1. So we're cramming 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bucket.
We're putting 15 meetings in a 10-hour day, but then we are going to take you to a Brazilian steakhouse tonight. And our whole crew, it's kind of a running joke when we go to Fogo de Chao. It's the meat sweats. We see who can win, and it's always our 2 young 30-year-old Navy SEALs that seem to put us down. But anyhow, man. So one of the things I want to talk to you about, and this is something I'm going to hit you with the right curve here. One of my most favorite moments this year with you was you coming out of the woods and asking me, Bruno, am I fired? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you're like, well, I didn't kill anything on this trip and I was out for 10 days. I'm like, dude.
I was actually out longer than that. Yeah. It was, it was funny with opening up more than I probably should. That affected me mentally because I had put 8-10 trips into that place, a lot. And I say trips, we're talking multiple days, high hopes. And I went in for 10 days and got crushed, and went back in and got crushed again. I ended up getting 1, but you don't talk about a Debbie Downer. And I mean, it's always good for your, whatever, good for the soul to get an ass whooping in. That one was bad. And as you know, a buddy of mine took his life while I was out there. So it literally, to the point I'm like, I suck as a hunter. This is horrible. It fucked with me more mentally than I probably let on. But
no, I know it did, man. I know you losing your buddy, and I know he was trying to reach out to you or out there, which was terrible. So we knew where your head was. But I just thought it was hilarious because when people ask me, and for those that know Aron, you guys know the deal behind him. But I get people that ask me all the time that are not really big in the hunting community. They're like, well, what's so special about Aron Snyder? I'm like, what's so special about him is 90% of the hunters out there drive out to a high fence area, go back to the back 5 acres where their animal's cornered by 8 guides, and they get told, all right, now you're hunting. And, oh, hey, there's your animal, kill it. And you fucking walk your ass off for 7 days through the most insane terrain of mountains to find a specific animal.
Yeah, so, I think the thing that people have to realize is it's not necessarily high fence, but it's very private land. It's untouched. The tags are really expensive. And if that's your thing, I got 0 issue with that. But I've always I've never killed an elk on private land. Never killed an elk where I've been guided. I always try to do it the way that I started in this industry. And within reason. I mean, I try to get a landowner tag here and there, but that was a true over-the-counter, do-it-yourself backpack hunt. And, you know, I ended up getting one with the rifle. It was the first elk I've ever shot with a rifle. Which I'm digging on the rifle hunting thing. I'm about to switch over a bit. I had not rifle hunted. I mean, I've shot a few things. I shot a grizzly and a wolf, a few things with a rifle, but over the, hundreds of animals, I haven't used a gun that much. And the way that my brain works, whether it's, traditional archery, compound, fly fishing, I haven't gun hunted that much. And it's very intriguing to me because Wyoming, this is the first state where if you don't kill an animal in September with a bow or whatever, sometimes it's the 15th, I can just transition and keep hunting with a gun. And I've never had that. I've never got to have that in my arsenal. And it is nice hunting with a gun. I did not mind it at all. And then I guided a bunch too after that. But.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and from my optic, which is 180 out from yours, the skill required to get up on an animal like that with a bow is much different than me being able to, take my Viking tactics and my night force and range out at 500 yards and be like, I got you.
Well, it's weird because on the other end of the spectrum, I have not done that. While it is, maybe easier, it is another skill set completely than bow hunting. And I don't, I'm never gonna say I've mastered bow hunting, but I've done it so much. The idea, like, I just started in the last couple of years, even using a ballistic turret. Right. And so screwing around with that, as far as like, I went out to the range to shoot 1,000 yards with my, my 300 PRC. That's new to me. Right. And when I say new, I've shot guns a lot, but I mean, really, finite, like the fine details of it is new to me. So.
No, that's cool. I mean, Kurt and I were talking about it. The last content shoot we did out at Dillon, Kurt and I were on the Vikings of the Night Forces, and I want to say the 300 PRCs we had, we got them dialed in, and then we both took a shot that was just right at a mile. And the amount of energy you have to put in to do the calcs on that, place the shot and everything. But to me, in my hunting experience, which is about 1/1000th of yours, I mean, the longest shot I ever took was on my elk, and that was 565, and that was ridge to ridge, and that was considered a long shot. So
yeah. Nowadays it's with technology, it is helping as far as increasing accuracy, but with the rifle stuff or archery, whatever, the biggest thing that I just like being out there. And so in some cases, because I also like eating elk meat, I may not have to, I don't want to say settle, but shoot an animal I may or may not shoot because I do eat the meat. I live off wild game. I can now say, well, I'm gonna go rifle hunting now and continue hunting. I can hunt elk now for 2 months straight.
Yeah.
I could never do that before. And the longer range thing, I'm not a proponent of that unless you have the skill set behind it. But it's more than just pulling a trigger, because I get lots of clients that are like, just get me within 700 yards, old Betsy here. And it turns into an absolute cluster.
No, I saw the video. I saw you hiked that gentleman in. I actually thought you were posting humor.
Yeah.
You hiked that guy in, and I saw the shot, and then I saw the follow-up shot. And it was one thing not to hit the animal. It was another thing to be a couple feet off at that distance. I was like, what is he shooting?
And I got a little bit of, I had to say hate, but I'm sure a lot of people are like, you're blaming the client. And I'm like, my point to this has nothing to do with blame. The two things that you can control when you're going on a guided hunt are your physical fitness and your shooting ability, which helps the client out a bunch. Now, did he have a malfunction? Did something get knocked off? The point being is that if you have practiced and you are extremely precise, 500, which is what I always suggest mountain hunting,
yep.
It makes my life easier, makes the client's life easier. And also it makes you not wait, in that case, 25 years to draw that tag and not bring an animal home. And the sheep hunting was rough. You heard, I was out in the field a lot, meaning I was away from base camp in a little one-man tent running around trying to find sheep. That was, I think, the last day. And I had to, just physical fitness wise, you can only push the client so far. So I had to go find them, get a hold of the Blake Chamley with Chamley Outfitting, get a hold of Blake, bring them down. I found them climb all the way the 1,800 foot drop to where I found them. And then he missed. So that's 25 years of drawing a tag and missing. That's all the physical fitness put into that for a story. Now, people say that it's not about the animal, it's about the adventure. Yeah, but if I played basketball for 20 years and never put the ball in the hole, I would be pretty pissed off, right? So you do kind of want to put an animal. I mean, the adventure's great, but if you can shoot and you can hike, that's two things you really need to focus on.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't care what you do. You talk to any of these NFL athletes that have never won a Super Bowl, hockey players that never won a Stanley Cup, or from my era, I was at 19 years when 9/11 popped off, and I had a couple guys that had retired already, and in 20 years of soft service, had never been to the big dance and never been to the big game.
Yeah.
What was cool though about some of them is we got to bring a bunch of them back.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what you're there for, right? At the end of the day, you want to achieve the mission. So
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy because the shooting aspect of it. I literally just came back from the Tactical Games National Championship, heading to the Patriot games this week. And the thing we see there, it's not hunting, but I'll tell you right now, it's stress shooting because they're physically exhausted and they're shooting. And every single person that gets on the podium, male and female, the differentiator is not fitness, it's shooting.
Yeah.
100%. Because the way these events are set up, by the way, is missed shots or penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? You're a beast. Well, now you better be a beast times 4 because you just had 4 missed shots.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, but
when you with the shooting thing, and I can't speak on the tactical games other than I'm watching the videos, it looks miserable. Physically wise, it looks challenging. On the shooting thing, that is amazing to me. I say amazing. I was raised with a BB gun in my hand doing shit I shouldn't have been. I got an early start. Did a lot of things I probably shouldn't have done, but I got to shoot a lot, whether that be squirrels or whatever. Is target acquisition and common sense, shooting offhand and awkward positions. People don't practice that like normally. And there's PRS and NRL Hunter, and then there's tactical games, Patriot games. But, having the wherewithal to check and make sure that your scope is dialed back to 3 or 5 when you're going to get in a jump shooting situation, right? And then being able to shoot offhand. I am amazed how many people cannot shoot. I think out to 100 yards, you should be able to be accurate offhand. That can't shoot offhand, though that costs you animals. So a lot of people just don't practice that. And I mean, I push people to, but I don't know.
Practices, I don't care what you're doing. Reps is what I like to call it, but reps are everything. Anybody that's ever been with me, like even the folks here in our office know that before we go to the range, I want them dry firing. I mean, get the reps, get the repetition, get ready so that when you're on, it counts.
Yeah.
But now the shooting world, man, the one thing I'll tell you, I just made reference to the shots that Kurt and I did. Those were with tactical bolt guns or lightweight hunting rifles that Viking Armament built. That distance of a shot in these ELR, PRS match type guns is they all can do it, but they're shooting a 28 and a 29-pound gun, not a 7-pound gun.
Yeah.
And the difference, in the equipment. So if you can scale the equipment to whatever the challenge is, that's fine. But in your business,
it's a lightweight gun.
It's a lightweight gun. And because of every fucking thing you got to go through to get to the shot.
Well, and I packed in this last go around because some clients want to use their rifle, and sometimes you have to really convince them to not, right? And so I always pack one of either my 6.5 PRC or my 300, and those are both from Viking, and they're XLR chassis. The thing is like, I would rather someone use my gun that's dialed in, and I know it's dialed in, married up to my rangefinder, than their gun that I'm not.
You don't know what happened.
Sure of. And the thing is they're like, well, I shot it at 100. I'm zeroed. The thing is that I don't know, and you should have them shoot as far as you possibly can. You don't always have the time to do that. Is I know my gun is dialed out to 1,000, and I know its capabilities at that. And I know if I give you a range and I dial that turret to whatever the case, we're good. And so 3 out of the 4 of my clients used my rifle, and they didn't mind. And I'm like, look, this thing's a hammer and it's on my Donkey Kong. We're good if we use this. The way the bipod was set up, everything else. The thing like that I've found what you dry firing is one if I've got time, I'll have that guy dry fire 20 times on the animal before, I drop the mag. The other thing too is my trigger is right at a pound.
Right.
People aren't used to that a lot. And
So
so
the
they
gun goes off on them.
oh dude, I learned that the hard way. I touched the stove on that one where I didn't mention, and he was used to shooting, Remington 700, whatever it is, 3-pound trigger pull. There's a big difference from 3 to 1.
Oh yeah, man.
And so I'm like, hey, get used to that trigger because with you fart, it's going off, right? And so it gets them used to that familiarization. And honestly, too, sight picture, like I don't think about that at all. Like I'm dialed in. I don't get the haloing or shadowing on the scope. I know then in those 20 dry fires if they have any issue looking through that scope. And a lot of times in hunting situations, I don't dial it up on farther shots to the highest power. I dial it back to where the power is helping, but it's not hurting with the shakes. Because a lot of people, it starts moving when you're at 24 power and they get jittery.
Right.
And so a lot of times I'll actually dial
Sometimes they can't even
back.
find the animal, right?
Yeah, yeah, I have stories. Yeah, I mean, sometimes they shoot the wrong animal because they're on. I'm like, okay, third one to the left. Yep, I'm on it. And then the fifth one to the left flips over and you're like, oh, that's not good.
That's not good.
Well, that happens when you're guiding. And I had that post you're talking about again. I got some hate that somebody was like, you're flexing on the client. And I'm like, I didn't even bring up the client's name. This was a learning experience of the gun needs to be an extension of your body and you need to make sure it's dialed in, to the best of your ability and fitness. And the thing is if you haven't guided, because a lot of guides reached out to me, like relaying the same stories.
Right.
It is very stressful when you're guiding because I'm going to say not your reputation, because I don't worry about that, but that guy is relying on you to do your job to get him the animal. The outfitter's relying on you to get the client the animal. And no matter what, if he doesn't get the animal, it is my fault, right?
Right.
Should I have got him closer, right? Did I rush him? Did he take the shot too quickly? And so there's a lot to it, especially on something that takes 25 years to draw, right? And I felt horrible. So.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, though, hopefully it was a learning experience for that person. And I mean, they're not going to wait 25 more years. They can go to private land and pull their tag and hopefully.
You know what the learning experience is for me is I should have brought my fucking gun. I should have brought that Viking 300 PRC or the 6.5 because I know I got a tripod. He didn't, or not a tripod, bipod. He didn't. I would have been able to dial that in exactly because I had a turret. He was aiming over. He had the hash marks. We would have killed that Jeep if we had one.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
At that range, there's no doubt. I mean, we both have the Viking 300 PRC. We both have the Night Force on it. And I'll tell you right now that as long as I can get set, there's nothing I can't reach out with that thing. But it's crazy because knowing your gun is the other thing. Again, something from the tactical games I just saw. One of the events they had, and again, there was a high fitness component to it, but in between every fitness round, they would go up to the line and they would shoot the long target was 580 elevated. It probably about 100-foot elevation increase on a hill, maybe 150. And then they would do some more fitness and then they would come up and they would shoot pistol. I was shocked at the amount of people that thought that their gun at 580, that the bullet should be the same place it should be at 100. We're sitting there and myself and two other individuals looked at the winds, looked at everything. And I was like, this is a 2 mil left hold.
Yeah.
And you're listening to them and they're putting their optic center mass at 580 with that 13 knot crosswind.
Yeah.
And you're like, good luck.
Yeah. When you talk about wind drift, and I am not a sniper, but I have friends that are, shooting long distance as far as just shooting, and I say relative long distance, like we'll just say long distance, we'll keep it under manageable, 800 and in. Really, the wind call is that's all of it. I mean, not all of it, but I would say the wind call is what gets people, because a lot of guys can actually shoot, but calling that wind drift is a big one. And with that, I mean, I've seen guys at 1,000 yards miss a moose from wind drift. Like it can be, and until you talk to somebody, you can't, I'm gonna put it, wisdom and knowledge, right? You can't read and learn that. You can learn it, but you can't go outside and hear the wind and feel it and be able to take a guess unless you've experienced that. So the wind call's huge. And it sounds like you had 13 miles an hour. And how big was the target at that distance?
It was, I want to say, a 18-inch steel plate.
Yeah, and they were drifting hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing too, I agree with the wind call, but the other thing that, and this is something I've talked about on the podcast, is a lot of people take ammunition for granted. And first of all, they don't dope in their gun with the same ammo that they're using later on, or in these tactical games competitions, you know, you got folks that are not shooting the proper grain match ammo, and man, the gun will tell you. I mean, when you're shooting, I saw a bunch of different configurations, but the gun that I got on was a 14.5-inch Sons of Liberty Gunwork AR, and it's fucking dialed right in, and it was boom, boom, boom. But 77 grain bullet, you know, everything was right.
Yeah.
You can't put $4,000 in a gun and optic and then go buy mill ball.
Well, and you know what I have noticed, because I shoot factory ammo, but I don't shoot super far, but I shoot factory ammo out of my Viking, and what I have noticed is I will buy from batch to batch. That's what I've noticed on factory will screw you. And so on one batch, I'll be sub MOA. Next batch, it may go up to 2 inches. And that's factory ammo. Now you can buy some really good. I mean, I shoot Hornady and Burger factory ammo, and Hornady's been great for me, but the batch to batch can definitely screw you. And I don't reload.
It's funny you say that, because we had the same experience, and we called the guys, you know, we called Grant and Greg out there at Viking, and they're like, this is what you need to be shooting. And we're shooting the same thing, Hornady and Burger. And I will say that if you're dialing your gun in at sea level with one ammo, and you're going to hunt with you at 6,000 feet and shooting another box of ammo, your fucking gun's not ready.
Yeah. And I you know, adding to that, in 6,000 is actually moderate. You're really probably looking at sea level to 10 or 12, generally with what I'm doing.
Right.
You're up there. And it's same with archery. One with archery, you know, it's basically air density, right? So at sea level, when you get up to 10, 12,000 feet, you're going to be at 100 yards, a foot high, 8 inches high, whatever. What I'm, again, with learning with the gun thing, you know, that's all, you know, I'm learning this, right? Of, you know, air density is huge from sea level. And, you know, again, with my gun, I know it's dialed at high elevation. And I didn't realize how much that makes a difference in rifle, because I haven't shot, when I say long distance, more extreme long distance with a gun as much, because as a bow hunter, if I pick up a gun and I get within 3, that's not long distance shooting. It's a hell of a lot longer distance I can shoot with my bow. So it's still, I can aim right at it. You start stretching it out there, it made a far bigger difference than I realized. And again, which is why I'm kind of excited about, you know, getting more advanced in rifle hunting.
That'll be awesome. So let me ask you this one. What was your, I know that first one you went out on was just an app. You came back wrecked from that, went right back out the door. But what was your best hunt this year? What was the one you came back off and said that's why I fucking do this?
You know, I mean, and just context, my best friend through high school, when I was hiking in, called me, left voicemail. I got enough service when I was back there and just texted him, said, "Hey, I'll call you back when I'm off the mountain." He took his life the next day, and I went out with my rifle solo, kind of like a hunt for he and I. So that meant a lot to me. But in truth, getting Bill's fat ass up and shooting that giant bull was probably like, okay, this was awesome.
That was a huge bull.
and Bill, if he listens to this, Bill's from Nantucket. Bill is fat. And I had just done that podcast. We were with me and John Pinch talking about that sheep hunt where I was like, shooting and fitness. Okay. So he's got 3 buddies with him, 4 dudes, 3 from Nantucket, 1 from Pennsylvania. The one buddy of his, first night, we haven't even made it to camp on the horses yet. He's like, I'm good to 300. And he's got, I mean, whatever, it's where I'm not going to mention the company, you range it and the dot drops down.
Yep.
And I'm not a fan of that system, like coyote hunting close, whatever. And so he told me what he had, and I was like, fuck. So we get to 416 or something. And I'm like, dude, have you shot out this far? He's like, man, I live in Nantucket. And I'm like, let's see what happens. Let's try to take a shot. He's in the prone, I took my puffy. He's solid, and the dude could shoot. Like I could see it.
Right.
Like he wasn't flinching. He dry fired, and he missed by a bit. Right. So then Bill, I would say Bill probably could drop 100 pounds. Bill's taken 4 pills a morning and a night, and Bill is the only one in the entire group that is okay with shooting a cow. Right. Well, that day when we go out, we circle to the right. There's another guide with another group of hunters he works for Blake Chamley.
Right.
He's on top of the ridge line and he's looking at the same elk I am, and some text back and forth. And he's like, man, I can get on these animals. And I'm like, no, and it wasn't an argument. I was just, man, I'm here. I see them. We're on them. And I messaged Blake and I said, look, if they stay where they're at, this bull's dead and it's big. But now I have risked Bill not making it and really screwing over the other dude that I know. They're coming down from the top down. We're coming from the bottom up. So I gave Bill the pep talk. I'm like, look, it doesn't matter how fast you make it. We just have to make it. And so I threw all of his crap from his pack in mine, left his gun. And I was like, look, go as fast, as slow as you want. And when you guide, doesn't matter how fast I can go, right? That doesn't matter at all if I get there. So I'm filming him going up the hill. He's giving me the finger and I'm trying to make jokes about it. And it was good. I mean, we got there and he sat and he laid on his back. He's like, I'm dizzy. I'm like, you're good. We're here. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, we're within 100 yards of cows. Like, and there was 150 elk in this herd. And so it was actually, now keep in mind, I saw what I had figured 7 bulls in the group, 3 shooters, 1 hammer. And I got a long time to look at these bulls, right? We're above tree line. So we're at like 10-5. And they're in this massive basin. They had climbed all the way from the right side of the basin, went 1.5 miles to the left. And so when we get up there, I'm like, I don't know where the bull is exactly, but he's in one of these last patches of bristlecomb. And I'm like, I dialed it to 2.5 MOA. And I said, wherever it stands up, shoot it. Like, it doesn't matter. You're good. I go shift to the left to look at these other trees and I can hear him, give me a range. And I'm like, I get over. I'm like, and I watch, and that's the first time I had a good look at the bull, close up, and it goes back in the trees. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Kill it. I was like, just shoot it. I told you. I get it. He wanted to be certain,
Right.
And so, but what threw me off is when it went back in the trees, it looked bigger than the bull I had been watching. So I'll try to speed this story up. Long story short, comes back out, moving around, and I'm losing my mind because I know it's the only 4-foot wide bull I've ever seen in my own eyes, which is not common. 48 inches wide is big.
It's big.
And it's going in and out. And I'm like, you can hear me on the longer video that I haven't published because there's some foul language in there, but I'm like, shoot it, kill it, buddy, right now, shoot it. And this went on for a half an hour of it. Finally, I'm like, it's clear, shoot it. So he shoots it and we wait a little bit. And he's like, are you sure I hit it? Because there's all these elk now going away.
Right.
And I'm like, he's like, there's a big bull up there. And I look at a bull and I'm like, dude, that's a dink. And I look to the right and I'm like, oh shit, maybe you didn't hit it. So I'm like looking at my phone, looking at the bull. And I'm like, dude, you hammered the bull. 2, that bull's 4 inches longer, 4 inches narrower. And I'm like, where did that bull come from? That bull that we shot, no one had ever seen before, and snuck in on our climb in with the herd. So I didn't even, again, once it walked out, I was like,
who is this?
And then when it hit the ground, when we got up to it, I texted Blake and I said, dude, it's giant. And he's like, asshole, how giant? Points. I need numbers. And I'm like, I haven't got to it yet. I can see it like sticking like off the ground. And I got up to it and I was like, dude, it's over 350. And I think it's 4 feet wide. And I took that Viking and it fits easily between the whole. I was like,
oh, shit.
And Bill didn't know. I mean, he knew it was big. And I'm like, no, Bill, this is special. Like this, especially in the area where we're at.
Right.
And he cried. It was great. I mean, he cried a couple times hiking up because he was, but it was that was definitely the highlight of my season, was that specific, that
That's
trip
awesome.
and that hunt. So
no, that was awesome. And I do remember getting a text from you from your inReach saying that, situation with your buddy, And I knew that was fucking sitting on your soul. And you came out of the hunts and I was like, how are you? And you're like, I'm going back in. I'm like, all right, Aron's doing what Aron fucking does.
Yeah, I
So,
went back to back to back to back. I mean, I went basically from August. Yeah, I mean, hunting September 1st, more or less, and I didn't come out until, mid to late October
do you remember the conversation? Hey,
with you and
buddy,
I. Yeah.
do I still have a job? Am I hunting too much? I'm like, dude, this
Yeah.
is what the fuck we pay you for.
Yeah, I know, because I was like, because I was dark a lot of that. I didn't have service. I
Yeah,
didn't
dude,
reach.
we loved
Yeah.
it though. But it's cool because you do. I'll tell you what. I mean, for those that, if you're not following Aron Snyder on Instagram, just even if you're not a hunter, if you look at the photographs he takes when he's out there of the terrain that he's in, this shit's like, if you're old enough to remember National Geographic magazine, it looks like stuff taken out of there. It's insane, some of the places you're at, and you go. And I mean, I would be happy hiking in that stuff without ever shooting an animal personally. So
It is, yeah, it is amazing, and I'm super blessed because I'm doing multiple things. Doing one, what I love, being outdoors. Two, hunting. Three, and I don't touch on this nearly as much as I should. The product testing. So like we are able to test products at a level that most people don't or can't. And so, I was wearing the Headwind fleece that entire time, which we had already tested a bunch, but that really I think I was messaging you. I'm like, dude, it's a blizzard. It's 20 degrees, 40-mile-an-hour wind. Like eyeballs are freezing shut. And it allows me to give recommendations on the gear that we sell, knowing I've already put it through it. And then that gives me a warm and fuzzy. And I'm very blessed that I get to do, all of that. And true also, you know, working with the team here is such, it is so nice to not have to. I mean, it's just it's pretty smooth, right? And so that makes it a lot easier for me as well. But with on the hunting side of things, it was funny because me, Aron Snyder, the great hunter, which you gave me shit about, I shot the smallest bull out of me and Kurt and Colby.
I think it's hilarious. But
I was laughing.
it was funny, but I mean, it was only funny because we know what you have shot. But I remember Colby sent his picture back, Kurt sent his picture back, and then I got yours, and I immediately texted Kurt. I'm like, please tell me this is smaller than yours.
It was.
And he's like, it is.
Kurt, I don't know that Kurt was 100% because he messaged me and he said, that bull looks like it has a giant body and shorter horns. And I said, oh, it does. And I said, would I tell you the story? So the funny thing, I'm a bow hunter, and this is the first time I've brought a rifle into the woods for an elk. So I go in, I was probably in 5 miles solo, like I said, kind of hunting with me and my buddy that had taken his life. And I go, I mean, you could hear a flea fart for miles, no elk or bugling, nothing. I hike in the dark at 5 a.m., get on this overlook. It's like 450 to this, meadow. Get the bipod set up and my shit out. And I'm like, I'll just sit here until something comes out. I cow call and bugle a few times, and I'm on like the military crest, right? So nothing can see me from the back. That bull bugled 60 yards behind me where it came in deadfall, which is why I set up there because I didn't think anything would come in. So I grabbed that giant bipod out and I'm swinging behind me and I see this massive body and I can hear cows. And so it's going through the trees and I can see horn and I can see body. Well, now keep in mind, I've never shot an elk with a rifle. So I shoot offhand and, it's funny because I've got that it's a tricer. It's extended like 2.5 feet. It's dongling. I'm hitting stuff. Finally, I get a clear shot. Well, because that gun's so loud, I don't hear impact because it's immediate. And it keeps going. And I'm like, and I say I don't miss. Anybody that's hunted with me offhand, I don't miss very often, right? Runs off, I shoot it again, still not much reaction. So I run forward and I'm like, I can't believe, and there's blood everywhere. And so I'd hit it, but I'm like laughing because, it was an archery distance, right? And then my buddy who took his life was literally one of the funniest dudes. I'm like, oh, I'm sure he's looking down on me laughing because he was a gun hunter.
Right.
And he was the kind of guy, so he had, for the last 5 or 6 years was having some issues. And he was the kind of guy that he would call you he needed help, right? He was getting ready to take his life, and you would talk him off the ledge. And by the end of the conversation, he would have you laughing so hard because he was just so funny, to where I'm like, aren't you, don't you need my help? Like, you're making me feel better. You know, he was just that kind of a dude. So that whole, especially if you watched it scenario, I was like, he's probably laughing his ass off at me right now, with that first, you know, whatever the first elk. But I ended up, so I, thank goodness, so I got that thing down. And packing one out 5 miles by yourself, you hear a lot of bullshit stories online about, but you know, in reality, I can do it in 2 trips, but it's getting to the point now, it's taking life off my knees. So 2 trips, you're looking at, depending, you know, plus gear, you know, 3 90-pound trips. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, however you do the math, you know, it's a lot of miles. So I was 1.2 miles from the trail, and I messaged my buddy Chris Horn, and I'm like, hey dude, you want to come help me with this tomorrow? So I just had 3 trips down to the trail, hung it up, went back to camp, and I messaged him. I was like, hey dude, I'm feeling good. I'm going to take all of our, cause he had left it. We had our gear hidden in the woods. I'm like, I'm going to take all of yours and my gear and meet you at the trail and hike back in with you. So I came out the first trip with, I don't know, 90 of gear, met them. And then Mishka, my girlfriend, Chris, and his buddy, Eric, we came back in, and that trip, thank goodness, was one trip and fairly 60 pounds. It was not bad at all. Cause I've done the one trip out with 2 guys, and you and I could do it. Kurt and I could do it, but not many people realize until they carry an elk out what that takes. It takes some years off your life, your body.
I mean, there's videos. If you, I want to say it was this most recent bull. There's video from this year of you getting up off the ground. I think Misha took it, where you're getting up off the ground with a full pack. And anybody that doesn't see the pain in your face.
There's one I did with South Cox where he and I killed 2 bulls, 14 and 18, 13 and 15 miles in. And whatever, I won't tell the whole story, but we had a llama that just laid up on us. So I took everything off the llama and put it on my pack. And Mike Hearn was there, a couple other guys. And so I put it on my pack, and we videoed that, and I did the roll. I got to my feet, and I told everybody, I was like, look, I'm not waiting on anybody. I'm sorry. There's no motivational speeches today. I'll see you when I see you, but I've got to go. And that was 100 and something pounds for like 7 miles. And the last mile and a half of core was like uphill. So by the time I had gotten back, you're already probably suffering from some sleep deprivation. You're probably hungry. You're probably dehydrated. I wasn't. It took about 24 hours, 36 hours for me to get cognizant back in the game. Like if you're doing any cognitive tests, like when I got to the truck, I probably would have failed them.
Hey, this is Bruno, and you've been watching the Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. Please don't forget to like and subscribe our podcast. And thanks for watching. Now back to the podcast.
So let me ask you this now. We're rolling right around the corner here on Thanksgiving. You know, everybody, normal people go into the holidays and do family and get fat and then start their new year off and do stuff. We got a lot coming up next year.
Yeah.
We're posturing for both. I want to say we're posturing for the Western Hunt Show, SHOT Show, the Great American Hunt, the Mile High Hunt. We got a lot going on here at BP Outdoor next year.
Yeah.
Anything you want to talk about there at all? Anything cool? And oh, by the way, before he answers, I am going to give a product plug. Anybody knows me knows I've been in the game a couple years. The Headwind fleece that you and Kurt designed. I'm telling you, I'm trying to remember the manufacturer of what I used to call my Afghanistan jacket. I had 2. I had one that was a hard shell that I knew was Beyond. I don't think the soft shell was North Face, but I don't remember. But they got me through everything, and I wore that fucking jacket out, and this Headwind is better.
Yeah, we put 2 years into that thing. And Kurt is extremely anal retentive in a good way. So, and Kurt was a recce guy.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I don't know if I would ever want to plan a stalk with Kurt, because probably after 20 minutes of overlays and shit, I'd be like, Kurt, just go.
Fucking move.
Yeah.
Start walking.
Oh yeah. That dude at an epic level. Like that is the only time I've ever been to a Western hunt where we had an op order, where we went to a show. Like, anyway, that jacket originally I was Yeah, almost 2 years. I had it scouting, we made some tweaks, BC the entire season guiding, and then had a little bit more tweaks. So by the time it came out, I was confident this was going to be the best wind blocking jacket that you could get, and it is. I mean, it's amazing.
It's not only amazing, but let me tell you why I think it's super cool. So you guys that are hunters following Aron, you heard what he just did in the testing. Let me talk about the tactical side. It's got a removable hood. It's got color matching Velcro on the sleeves for you guys that are in law enforcement agencies and stuff like that. So you can wear it as a duty jacket. We did hunting colors and we did tactical colors. So we've got black, we've got police blue, coyote brown, OD green. You know what I love about it? It's so fucking soft.
Yeah.
The fact that it blocks the wind, the fact that it fits perfect, the fact that if I'm riding on a helo or in an open vehicle, I can pull the hood off. I mean, it's just very, very well designed. And we just launched that and it's crushing.
Yeah, it is doing well. And the good thing, you can say crushing sometimes and have negative feedback, meaning we had great sales.
Yeah.
It has been the best release of any product I've seen as far as feedback so far. Like everybody that I've seen that's ordered it has ordered one for their brother or their dad or their wife or whatever else. And so that has gone extremely well. And it's good because inherently we're not really known as an outer shell, outerwear company. And so it's good to see that kind of take off because we're 100% capable of doing outerwear. It's just that one really kind of, I think, is going to make a good stance for us. And it's amazing. I mean, I think for bow hunters, it's quiet. So
yeah. And you're the last thing, and I'm really not trying to do the shameless product plugs, but I literally got rid of 4 jackets because of this jacket. But I also think, which is crazy because of the innovation, the price point we put it at was fucking super cool. So it's affordable to anybody.
$150.
$150.
Yeah, so, it is. And I mean, that was something we, looked at during the design as well. But yeah, no, I'm very, very excited about that. But I mean, and it takes a team like, again, Kurt and Frankie. Really, Frankie probably doesn't get mentioned as much as he should. Frankie's our tech pack guy, and Kurt has many hats, but product development is Kurt's main gig. Kurt is really into bushcrafting, and we have other products that are going to kind of be coming that I don't think we can talk about yet. But in the bushcrafting world,
on a podcast.
So we have the hoodie coming out.
Yep.
So we have a bushcraft hoodie, which is basically a high content of merino. Kurt being a primitive bushcrafting guy, he's very much an organic. He loves wool. So what it really allows you to do is it's something you could wear to the store or wear wherever. You could wear it fallen trees. And then in the outdoor side, as far as hunting and backpacking in the colder months, basically you take a quiver fleece and replace it with this as a thicker intermediate layer, but it's beefy as hell. It's comfortable and it looks good. So with that and the Headwind, it's getting more into a bushcrafting world, and Kurt's all geeked out about that because we haven't really reached out to that community yet, but we're certainly going to start.
Absolutely getting there, aren't we? We talked about it. We sat in some strategy meetings and talked about 2026 all the way through 2027. We're getting into bushcraft. I know we're getting a lot more into the whitetail East Coast hunter business. You guys are building some component systems for that. Yeah. And the thing that I love is as you guys are designing these products, anything that works for the extreme hunting that you've been doing, the person that's going to hike the Appalachian Trail or up in the Colorado mountains or something, it's certainly worthy of that. So it's a true outdoor brand. I mean, it's not just a hunting brand, which is kind of cool. The other thing that's amazing is the crossover into the tactical world. The guys need the layers. Yeah. So, I mean, we're not in BP Tactical. I am not building any layering systems because the outdoor stuff is so cross-pollinated in. All we do is add the color schemes.
Yeah. And I think, as you say that in the backpacking world, I think if our Frontier and Frontier Light went to, REI is a bad example because they're kind of anti-hunting, but into backpacking, mountaineering world, I think they would crush. And hopefully they do at some point. Like I know we've, getting into that, world, and then like bushcrafting, tactical. The cool thing, like on the cross-pollination between tactical and hunting, is I've got hunters that wear your op pant, and I've got a bunch of operators that wear the Frontier pant.
Absolutely.
And they're great. I with like some of the things aren't always going to cross pollinate, and I don't want to mention the M word, but I've had people ask if we're going to have the Frontier pant in desert camo and multicam, which is a bad word when I say that. It's a pain in the butt to print multicam.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Poor Mallory, our co-founder, and I have been working multicam for 2 years, and we finally are launching it. Everybody's been waiting. Everybody's been seeing me wear it in videos, and it's finally being launched. It's shot. But what a fucking nightmare! And you know why? Two reasons. One is obviously it's somebody else's pattern that we have to pay a licensing fee, printing approvals, and all that. Yes, they make like $17 per every pair of pants off us just using their pattern. But the other piece of it is that we made for the military, we made the distinct effort. We have all U.S. fabric and trims, so we can either do a trade or a Berry compliant uniform. So if you're buying our multicam, which will be available on the website after SHOT Show, you're buying a USA made product, which a lot of people have been saying, hey, when is BP going to start doing this? Well, we're doing it. And the other thing that we're doing is we're moving the entire tactical and outdoor line to a trade compliant partners. And if you don't know what that means, it basically means that we're able to sell it directly to the U.S. government and those that have the requirement where they can either have a USA made product or they can have a product that is assembled in a trade partner country of America. The crazy part, and I'll say this right now, for everybody that wants that Made in USA tag, we do a lot of performance synthetics. I'm going to tell you, you're going to pay for that tag.
Yeah, it's across the board with any company.
It's that simple. The stuff that we're having made in Asia look at what it's been doing. We are the rave on the tactical side, on the outdoor side with that exact product. But we're putting that Made in USA tag for those that want it, and you're going to pay a premium for it. So you're hearing it for me. If you're not on a government contract, buy the stuff that's on the website because it is the exact same stuff. And actually, they've been doing it a hell of a lot longer.
I remember when I went to back in the day, trying to nothing for the most part, cell phones, whatever else you're not going to get, but Made in America. And I looked at the Arc'teryx Sphinx pants. They were $800, and that I think those were issued to Tier 1.
Yeah, I had them. We had an Arc'teryx cold weather jacket that was $2,700.
Yeah.
I mean, for a freaking jacket, yeah. My first car was less than that.
Yeah, it's expensive, and obviously I've dealt with American made, very compliant manufacturing for a long time, and there are times like now that I'm able to speak more freely about this, there are certain fabrics that you may put on a backpack, for example. You don't want it to come from the U.S. because one, we don't have it. And then two, if we did, it's probably not as good. And that's not no dig on America. That's just, there are certain fabrics made all over the world that are better than what we can make here right now. And so you have to kind of weigh that out and being in looking in as far as reality. I'm not like pro overseas. I'm more common sense. If I can put a fabric on a backpack that's better than anything I can get here, but 90% of the pack is US made, I'm generally going to opt for that better material unless, and there's always options to supplement that for an American made fabric or whatever. But I think people have to understand that you're never going to have a good rain gear at this point made in the US. You are not going to have that.
So let me just end this on this and we'll move on. Everybody that gets on Instagram and says, oh, where was that made? You're texting me on a phone that was made in China because that's where the iPhone's made. Everybody that is cooking on a Weber grill or using Rogue equipment, it was assembled here. It wasn't made here. Your Levi's jeans are made in Mexico. I could just go down the list of places that make stuff really fucking good. And either we assemble it here or we just import it here. But I'll finish it with this. You want the best engineered fucking vehicles in the world? Go to Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a reason Porsche, Mercedes, BMW, all these brands and the high-end sports cars are there.
Europe,
Yeah,
Ferrari, whatever.
But anyhow, and to me, it's a running joke because people get their panties in a bunch about certain countries. I'm like, well, I come from generations of military family, and I've got a lot of people that are no longer with us that went and fought the Germans, but they're our biggest partner now.
Yeah.
And, so it is what it is, right, man?
Yeah. And I think that for me, end up on that, I think in reality, we are going to offer it.
Yeah.
It's going to be expensive, right? So the thing that I think people, and this is whether it be shoes, shirts, pants, backpacks, or whatever, there's going to be times that while you may want all made in the USA, you're actually getting a lesser product. And I don't mean that in sewing necessarily with packs specifically, but the fabric in general. And again, I brought up rain gear. You don't want a made in the USA rain gear. I mean, you can have it. It's probably not going to be as good. And it's going to be probably what, four times
Yeah. I mean,
more?
when we were getting into our rain gear, I just remember there wasn't even companies in the country that could even do the seams.
Capability.
They couldn't even seal the seams. So yeah, I mean, you're right, man. So I kind of got off on a tangent. And just before we move on, for anybody, all this stuff we're talking about, when the products we're mentioning, we will have the outdoor and the tactical line at SHOT Show. We'll be in a main booth on the main floor at the Venetian. So come by and see Born Primitive there. And then at Western Hunt out in Salt Lake City. And then at the Great American Hunt up in Pennsylvania. And those are all January and February. So this podcast is going to air in December. So make your plans and come see us. Aron and I will be together out there at Western Hunt. Look forward to meeting and seeing everybody. But what else?
Well, we I don't want to dive into it. We should have something very special that we're releasing at the Western Hunt that has consumed a lot of my time as well as Kurt's time. I'm very excited about that. And that I feel very rarely does somebody step into a domain, a company, step into a new domain and catapult ahead of everyone. And we're going to do that. And I'm very excited about that. But I don't want to go into any more detail until it's time. But that specific project we're working on, I'm going to take a lot of pleasure into diving into that because you took the cuffs off me, and we can do whatever we want, and we're going to. Can we talk about the meeting that we're going to have right after this one?
Yeah. So before we get there, I just want to say one thing. Like the one promise I made, and I remember this well. I was running tactical, and the leadership here at Born Primitive said, we're going to make a change and you're going to run tactical and outdoor. The first thing I did was put my ass on an airplane to Wyoming, and asked Aron to assemble the entire outdoor team.
Yeah.
And I went out there to make a pitch to Aron to leave his former employer and come to us. And I also went out there to interview everybody that was involved in outdoor and make some changes.
They've been good because we are fucking crushing it now.
We are
too, but
1 year into let's do this, and outdoor has basically become, I mean, globally recognized. We're getting pictures from fucking Africa, Canada, Europe of people hunting in our stuff. And the one thing I promised Aron is I said, I don't want you in the headquarters fighting for money, marketing. I want you doing what Aron Snyder does. And that's hunting and guiding and being outdoor and coming up with cool shit. And the thing he's alluding to at Western Hunt, which I'm not going to go into because it is kind of a top secret skunk works project. I'm just going to say what I always say, stand the fuck by. When Aron Snyder actually releases what we're getting ready to talk about, you guys are going to be like, oh, hell yes. And coming from a guy that at SHOT Show, we're releasing our Patriot 1 mid-assault boot that I have 2 years invested in. And we're also releasing our multicam that I have almost 2 years invested in. I'm actually, I think, more excited about your project knowing where it can go, man.
Yeah. So. Well, there was, 20 plus years of me being on the side of the mountain, seeing deficiencies and things and everything else. And we were able to hire the best in the business from not just manufacturing, but also recently industrial engineering, where he took what I had and made it even better. And when and usually when it's backpacks, I don't want to say I'm the smartest in the room, but I'm definitely, backpacks are my thing. This guy was able to take what was in my brain, add to it, and make it even better. And I mean, Kurt had a fucking hard on for 12 hours a day when we were down there. Kurt was like a kid because he'd never been into a full meeting like that. I don't know if he told you, but he was literally like a kid at Christmas. It was fun to watch.
It was
Kurt.
excited. Yeah, Kurt is Kurt's a true operator, very calm, cool, and collective. And when he calls me, he's excited. I know something good's happening.
It was funny. In the first 3 minutes of that meeting, I looked at Kurt. The dude walked away, and I was like, "Guy's fucking smart, Kurt." And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. Very rarely do you find a guy that was an operator, right? He was, I think he was in fifth group for a while. Worked on delivery systems with DARPA. Worked for 2 different tactical companies that are kind of parallel, and has a master's degree, and is high level genius. Where he, because you'd never guess this dude's was an operator,
right?
And so when he started, him and Kurt, of course, jerked off back and forth with stories, and I was like, you don't fucking find this, right? Like it'd be me having a master's degree, because he can run all the different machines. When I say that, to manufacture, he can run also all the like digitized machines,
right?
And then he can run like 20 different types of softwares from AutoCAD on, and he was pretty fun to hang out with, right? So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, and I will say, when we come out, you will remember our fucking name. It will make a stand.
And it's just the beginning of where we're going. So yeah, let's talk about what our next meeting is here while we got you in town.
So rewinding, I've worn mountaineering boots my entire life, and that had weakened my feet to a point to where I had no muscles in my foot from wearing stiff boots. A buddy of mine named Matt Muscle Project, Matt, he's a bone fixer upper guy or whatever. He's like, dude, you got to start wearing 0 drop shoes, barefoot, whatever you got to do. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I started wearing them. Fell in love with the 0 drops, but then I found out pretty much the main player in that world is anti-hunting, anti-Second Amendment, anti-everything we stand for. And so I had actually pitched this to a couple other boot manufacturers, and they kind of turned their nose at it. Well, I pitched it here when I started working here. And so we're coming out with a 0 drop mountain hunting boot. And when I say that, I'm talking as much of a mountain hunting boot as a 0 drop shoe or boot can be. And what we were able to do was take a 0 drop platform, which everyone loves, make it a little more durable, a little more conducive to not losing your toenails with heavy weight, a little bit more conducive to wearing gaiters. And it looks pretty fucking badass. So.
And we are a pro hunting company. So So what I love about it is, the brand started with the Savage One, the athletic trainer, and it's absolutely crushing.
Who fucking knew we would be a shoe company, right? Like I never in a million years would have guessed how well that Savage One did.
And we got the Savage One high top getting ready to hit. And then at SHOT Show, we're releasing my mid assault boot, the Patriot One. For those that don't know anything about it, everybody knows what brand we wore overseas. Everybody knows it's got the European toe box. When you see this thing, it has a wide toe box. It's got a lower drop. It's got a in between the inner and outer sole. We basically developed a fabric that is stronger than Kevlar, so it's puncture resistant. I think I drove everybody at Vibram nuts. We did 7 renditions of our sole and lugs, 5 of them to make it quieter for the guys that are doing CQB, hostage rescue, whatever it is, that they're not making freaking terrible noise, ripping through tiled hallways and all that kind of stuff. Got a fast rope pad on, a quick draw. I mean, there is nothing on this mid assault boot that is not next level. That's why we use the by operators, 4 operators. So we're going to release that at SHOT, and then we're going to follow it up with this hunting boot that Aron's talking about. And I think we're going to be a bigger staple in footwear than people know.
Yeah. And, on the like the 0 drop, because I've kind of leaked this out some, this isn't a boot that you're going to wear and strap crampons on. So it's not 100% boot, but it's a 70%. And when I say that, meaning it is very quiet, or has been so far in the testing. So spot and stock, and I backpack in these, so it's not, it's going to be the best. And because a lot of guys wear 0 drops hunting, it will be the best 0 drop. And I say mountain hunting, but truly like more hunting type of footwear that has ever been designed or is even on the market. And the cool thing about that is, with the position we're in, that's fucking a big deal for me because I have to wear this shit, right? And so that's why I'm excited because I want this as much for me. It's just we have the ability to come out with it ourselves. And I think that we may be coming out with one, but I would say there's going to be a demand for multiple different models and everything else. But we got to test the waters, and we designed really the one for me first, or me and Kurt. But a lot of guys operate in these. A lot of the dudes that I know from across the way here, they kick down doors in these because they're so damn quiet. So
they're very popular, and I think with to be honest with you, by late summer, early fall, when we've got the Patriot 1 mid assault boot out, which is more of a traditional, high top or mid, when we've got the barefoot hunting boot out, and then we have the Defender 1 coming out, which is like a supercharged, if you will, skateboard shoe that is going to be, I think every SWAT operator in the nation is going to be using it, and every skydiver.
Yeah.
I think when we have those three different options for everybody, our two communities are going to be, pretty happy with what we're providing. And the biggest thing is you heard how much time I have 2 years into this mid assault boot. This thing has been jumped in Normandy. It's been swam in the Atlantic Ocean. We did 85-foot fast ropes on it. We are trying to make the boot fail.
Dive into that more. I don't think people realize how many people fast rope 85 feet.
Well, I can tell you, it was actually pretty comical. Because,
I thought you were fucking with me when you said that, because I'm like, 85 feet?
Yeah, so there's like no reason to ever do that, ever. So we reached out to some buddies, some 160th guys that have a private business, and I leased a MH60 that they have. And we went to Tennessee, and it was me, Bear, Kurt, Blake, and another guy. And we fucking fast roped from 15 to 40 feet, I don't know, 100 times to see if we could get the boot to burn, to see if we could have any issues with it. When we got out there, the guys, we were using the aircraft ropes. They had a 90-foot rope out there.
Oh, yeah. Is that where that came about?
That's how it came about. So I'm like, hey, I want to do the ultimate test. So I walked over to the lead pilot, who's a good buddy of mine. And I'm like, hey, how high legally, FAA, whatever, can you rope me? He's like, why are you asking? I'm like, well, you got a 90-foot rope. I'd like to do essentially an 85-foot fast rope because you got to have a couple feet on the ground, right? He's like, he goes, why? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm testing the boot out, man. You know that. And he's like, dude, you just did, I don't know how many runs. The boot looks great. It didn't even scuff. I'm like, well, I got to do it. I got to have this peace of mind. What if there's the Ranger that has to do the 70-foot rope into some kind of crazy terrain? And he's like, we'll do it if you'll do it. So I walked back over to my crew, and I'm like, hey, none of you guys have to do this with me, but I'm getting ready to go do a full equipment 90-foot rope to see if this boot holds up. And Kurt doesn't even blink. He goes, oh, fuck yeah, I'm in.
How were the hands?
Oh, dude, there's a video of it. All I can say is Bear and Blake and the other dude are like, you guys go have some fun. We are not doing that. So we got up there, and I had the rope, coiled and all that. And I'm looking at the radar altimeter, and the radar altimeter is saying, I want to say it's 87 feet. It's on the bottom of the aircraft. And I punched the rope off, and I just looked down, and I'm like, fucking 60 years old. Yeah. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
And I just looked at Kurt, and I just having fun. I said, follow me. And I went out. And we got video of it. We went out, and we talked about it. We actually said, let's have one of us go as fast as we can and break hard at the bottom to see what that does. And then have the other one go halfway break and then halfway and a real aggressive break at the bottom, just to put different looks on it. And we did it. And you'll see me in the video coming off. I fucking throw my gloves. My hands are on fire. Yeah. And we had really good, I forget who makes them. I think it's Petzl. We had really good rope gloves too. We didn't have, we weren't in like non-fast roping gloves, but 90 feet's 90 feet, dude.
Yeah.
And
40 is pretty standard. Yeah.
Then dude, to be honest with you, in the world of being a 160th guy, the fucking, the rope is there. 90% of the rope is as a contingency. The guy tells you, I have to go to that spot. And you're like, well, if I can't fucking land, I'm roping you.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to an elevated platform, whether it's a rooftop, a bridge wing or something like that, that's a different animal. But the typical desired rope height is between 15 and 25 feet.
Yeah.
We want to get the guy, I want to get the guy as low as fucking possible.
Yeah.
So if you're roping a guy 40 feet, it means there's an obstruction, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just crazy. And it's funny because I looked at the boots and they didn't even have like a scuff on them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, literally my words, it was the final test. I looked at Kurt and I'm like, because Kurt's our product guy, I'm like, we are going into production.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Do you mind? I've had people ask, because you don't talk about your career that much. There's a lot of people that don't know your career before the 160.
Yeah, man, you know me. I don't talk much about it. I did 15 years Ranger Special Forces community, and then to be honest with you, got in a point in life, and this is something that the Army I got promoted too fast. You know, going to go do, just got in a point where I felt I'm not going to be an operator anymore because of rank, and an opportunity came up, and this was right after Mogadishu and all that. And I'm like, I want to go do what those guys do. So I was going to get out of the military and be one of those dummies that got out at the 15-year mark. I put in a packet to go, at the time it was work with customs because they wanted me to come down there and work with their interdiction officers. I went to Fort Lauderdale Police Department, my hometown.
Yeah.
And interviewed with them. And then I put in a warrant officer flight packet with the Army. And all three of them essentially were a full go. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what do I want to do? And I'm like, well, I got 15 years in. I love the military. I'm going to go fly the guys that I used to be. And I got a really unique opportunity, which was super cool. About 3/4 of the way through flight school, they were deciding that they wanted to put former operators directly into the cockpit and see if it would work. So I was one of 4 guys that went up and screened. 2 of us got picked up, and we went from flight school. I'm talking fucking 0 hours. Like we were a hazard. We went straight to Green Platoon of the 160th. And I mean, literally for my first year or 2 there, I didn't fly with anybody that wasn't a W5, W4. Like just every day with me was a check ride. Every day was mentorship. And then what I found out quickly, and I've told every single operator I've ever met that's thought about flying helos, the hand-eye coordination and the motor skills that you develop as an operator. I don't care if it's technical military free fall. I don't care if it's CQB. I don't care what it is. It translates over to flying.
Yeah.
Because it is a motor skill thing. Once I learned how to fly the aircraft, it was fucking game changer. And I found myself, I think I was at the time the only Chief Warrant Officer 2 flight lead in the entire 160th when they're all 4s and 5s, but everybody knew my background.
Yeah.
But no, I did that for 15 years. And my last couple of years, I was the liaison with the Navy folks here at Dam Neck, and that opened up another part of my career. So
you probably really never realized you were going to be working at a fucking clothing company.
No. I mean, you know the story.
So you did 15 with Rangers and SF, 15
in the
with the Night Stalkers, and then
10. I did 10 and a half at Dam Neck as a government civilian.
Gotcha.
And that was a good haul for me. I'll tell you right now, my army buddies give me shit about it, but it was really refreshing for me to go there because the one thing I'll tell you, and Aaron, you know me well, the aviation community is a little different than the operator community, and I'm a hard ass. And, you know, I fucking debriefed to the standard I wanted to debrief. I led the way I wanted to, and I was always the guy the squadrons were calling and saying, can you come over on our rotation?
Yeah.
Because I'm mission first. And I just found I fit more with shooters than I do with aviators.
Yeah.
So when I got to the beach and I had been flying all these guys, team guys overseas for years, and I knew every single one of them, it was a very warm, receptive welcome. And, you know, my couple years on active duty there, I would still roll out with them and go overseas, you know, my fucking coolest thing as an Army guy ever was being able to do the fucking boat drop and jump in on the Phillips rescue. I mean, I'm a fucking Army pilot at the time, man. You know, it's fucking
But that story, well, I can't say that. That story, I've heard funny stories about all of these different parts and pieces. You know what I mean? Because when you, without getting anyone in trouble, I hang out, almost all my buddies are former operators, right? And so, you get comfortable and they get to drinking and you hear parts and pieces that I'm like, I read that book. That's not what I read in the book. It's crazy.
And I stay away from the war porn on this podcast, but I'll tell you right now, there are so many movies and so many books that I was on those ops over my fucking decades that I don't know if it's they want to make the story how they viewed it. Norm Hooten said this to me one time, and I believe it.
I met Norm Hooten through you.
Yeah,
what a fucking cool dude!
What a great American!
Oh yeah, he's just chill, right? And I when you bullshit with him, he's not. And I don't mean that. I mean the dude's lethal. But when you meet him, would you ever guess what he can do or what he has done?
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you, I love Norm. He is absolutely. We're not far apart in age at all, and I still consider him a mentor because I love his calm, cool demeanor. But he said this to me one time, and this is translating to the books and the movies. And I'm talking about ones written by operators, not the way fucking Hollywood takes it. And, they got to make Tom Hanks look like a superstar and shit like that. He said, Bruno, this is why this is going on. He goes, 2 guys in a firefight. He goes, there's you and there's another guy. You come back and you're fucking telling somebody over a cigar, dude, we were fucking laying steel to these guys. We were just getting after it. And the other guy is like, dude, we were getting the shit shot out of us. Yeah. It's all perspective.
Yeah.
You were in the same exact gunfight. You were 5 feet apart.
Yeah.
But it's all perception and perspective. The biggest issue I have with all the book writers and stuff like that is there's a couple, and I won't mention them by name, but they're all persona non grata in their own communities, is they were some pretty junior ranking guys.
Yeah.
And they may have been in the room when a shot was placed or something like that. But honestly, they have no fucking clue of the big picture. They were never sitting in the room with me, with the generals, the commanders, the W5s, when the plan was briefed, when the vision was briefed, when they knew why we were doing what we're doing and every piece that was moving on the battlefield. I try to tell people about the first hit overseas after 9/11 and how if you didn't understand that there were 2 air refueling tracks coming off an aircraft carrier just to get to the target and the amount of pre-assault fires of cast that went onto this target before the first operator ever stepped out. That's the whole big picture shit. So it's just an interesting thing, but I will tell you, like your hunting life, everything I've done in my life, I kind of look back at my active duty time and I wouldn't fucking trade it for the world.
Yeah. You've mentioned that to me on offhanded, like you had said something to me at one point. And it was, I think probably because I had spent too many days on the field. And I think I had said, I'm fucking tired. And you said, not many people get to do what they love. You're living whatever great life. He said, you said yours was combat. You were happiest or something like that.
I have to tell you something. Being forward deployed on a mission that required you to be all in and the amount of time I got to do it and the amount of, dude, there's something about the variety of mission, whether you're on the ground and you're in the gunfight. It's to me the most challenging thing I ever did. And I've told many people like, what was harder, Ranger Special Forces 160? And I said, well, all was a different hardness. But I said, I think the most gratifying thing I ever did was sitting fucking off target and the boys get in a volatile gunfight and they're getting their ass handed to them. They're like, Bruno, come get us.
Yeah.
You fucking go get them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, people have asked me about you. And I get that in hunting when people ask other people about, is he a dick? Is he what you think? Whatever.
I'm a dick. I'm a dick.
Yeah. Well, and we had a meeting earlier. I'm used to that, so it doesn't bother me. But I was like, Bruno runs at the sound of gunfire. And I can't say like I ever served with you, but meaning your demeanor is not to run away. Your demeanor is to run to. And that's the same way in business. Like that's the same way here. And how you were able to transition over, I laugh at it because it had to have been somewhat of a struggle at first, because you went from, I mean, we're talking polar opposites of what you were doing to now. But you know, the only time I ever like it is, I would say there is a military kind of a feel with, it is that way with the way that you lead, but that's one of the reasons I wanted to be here is you can tell me to fuck off and I fucked up and I don't care because I did, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I like that better. How hard has it been? You're supposed to be interviewing me, but how hard has it been with the transition? And is there anything you would have done different quicker or done different at all? When I say transitioning from fucking that much time in the military to clothing.
I mean, dude, like, and this is the running joke, and I tell everybody this, this is the truth. I could not spell apparel when I came here. I was like, is it
I remember
2 P's, 2 R's, 2 L's?
Yeah.
I got to fucking Google it. This is not something I ever wanted to do. The attraction, you know, our president, Tony, his brother, Max, thought I was a good fit here. He thought you were a good fit here. Isn't that fucking right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The attraction to me, and I think Bear is the one that mentioned it, is he basically said, hey, look, dude, he's like, how much federal service do you have? I'm like 40 years and 5 months.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you good at what you do? I'm like, I'm not being cocky. I'm the best at what I do. He's like, well, why don't you get out of your comfort zone and do something for the community and fix something that's broken? I'm like, what's broken? He goes, are you happy with the uniforms right now? I'm like, fuck no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, shit's not, everybody in the world's building stuff for human performance except for the clothing. And he's like, well, let's fix it. And he goes, and let me pay you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh. So
go ahead.
The hardest culture for me, and the reason I never left the DOD circuit, is I was worried about being the HR time bomb.
And you are.
I know that.
Yeah. Well, I am too, but you might be worse.
But this company, the fucking CEO is an HR time bomb.
Worse than us combined.
Than us combined. You know, this is a running joke, but Bear will tell you, him and I 4 or 5 times have had to square off. I mean, it's one of those, it works because it works here, and I do know what my limits are. And I have another vice president named Claire, who I love, who she'll pull me in the room and tell me that was too much.
Yeah, keep it between the mayo and the mustard. What's funny, the first time I met you, now keep in mind, I've been in the fitness world. I got juiced out, huge powerlifting. The first time I met you, I didn't know you from Adam, right? And you're in the booth, and I don't know who you are, or where you came from. And I'm like, is he a fucking powerlifter or an operator? Because you look like, well, I mean, you guys stick out like a sore thumb. And so then I think the first thing I said to you is, I fucking hate these shows. Or within the first.
That's what got us talking.
Yeah.
And then I looked at you and I said, and I fucking hate people. What are we doing here?
Yeah, no shit. Because you were probably at that time 260 pounds.
Easy.
I think you were bulking at that time. I think you were beefing up. And then I mean, obviously slowly but surely, obviously, you know, things started to come together. You took, you know, different roles here. And so, you know, when I had left the other company, there was things going on there that made me decide to do that. But it definitely, the decision I made had to do with everything we're talking about of the vibe here, the life. Yeah, the culture. Because I talk to Kurt like a fucking woman, right? I'm on the phone with Kurt constantly, and I'd be on the phone with you more. You're just you're busy, so I don't bug you. But like, it is nice to have the same views, philosophies, ethos, so to speak. And then, you know, when I'm talking with Kurt, you know, whether that be life, product, bullshitting, right? It's cool to know that he's not just a friend. I'm working with him every day, and I can trust.
No, I love it. And I think it's funny. I know when you want to talk, I get one word.
Yo.
I get a text with yo. It's like, oh, I need to give Aaron a call.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah.
No, dude, I'll say this, though. You know, you can't give anybody here at Born Primitive credit for you and I sitting here. This goes to Max.
Yeah.
I've told everybody that, you know, we'll leave it at Max. But for him, and the fucking guy's a genius.
Yeah.
The only fucking team guy on earth, enlisted team guy to go to Navy test pilot school. I mean,
that fucker. So when he was going through that, I called him and I was like, dude, what's it like? I said, obviously a pretty smart dude. And he's like, yeah, I'm smart compared to you. I'm not smart compared to these guys. Like, and I just talked to him last week and I'm like, what are you doing now? And I'm like, did
He's
you
up
ever
with the-
imagine?
Dude, he's basically he's like one of SecDef's top dogs.
Yep.
Like he's managing a portfolio that's in hundreds of billions of dollars.
And this is coming from, which I won't say exactly what he did, coming from a high level operator, the highest level.
The highest level.
And which is, you know, how I met him. And he's not what you would think. He's a very smart guy, but one of the funniest things, if he listens to this, he's gonna be mad. He was drunk and he's very, what is that called? Not methodical. Either way, he was like talking about life and shit that you wouldn't think come out of his mouth and kind of like off the cuff, almost a poem.
Right.
And I'm like, I need to get you drunk and actually hit record because his brain was opening up. And I'm like, not only is a genius, he could write poetry. I mean, he is a very intelligent person. And I mean, when you, again, how we got here, right? Because in my story is different than yours, but he knew it'd be a good, you know, fit. And it was an offhanded, we were on the side of a mountain and he was like, hey, what do you think about this? And it went from there, you know, and then, you know, met Bear and everybody else.
No. And I mean, obviously met you through Born Primitive, but yeah, I'll be honest with you. I love what I do here. So to be able to have the same, I don't want to use the word power because that's the wrong word, authority at Born Primitive that I had in my last position, where I get to handpick my team. I get to, as long as I understand what their goals are, I get the vision. You get the vision. And I love the fact that I can look at you and be like, hey, dude, you are the fucking kingpin of outdoor. Tell me how to resource you and let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And that, anybody listening, I have a title that says I'm over all that, but make no mistake, the Born Primitive Outdoor is Aron Snyder. I am the one that makes sure that he's resourced, fueled, and that we do everything to make the brand move forward. But he is the one that delivers what we have. That's my job on the tactical side. I'm doing that. And but below both of us, we got one hell of a team. I mean, you go look at what I have outside to resource us, and we're putting together an all-star cast.
Yeah.
So,
it's been an amazing year, and I'm about to cough again. In the year, we've both doubled, which says
insane.
something. Yeah. And I mean, and we've doubled with figure out inventory. And honestly, with what Bruno just said, with figuring out me having more control to know that you trust me to have the control. And when I say that, that sounds simple. I'm in Wyoming, right? And so I'm a little bit more tentative at times because I don't want to be the dickhead from Wyoming, but that's getting better and better and better. The flow is going better and we're growing at a rate that I don't honestly think most people would believe. And that's exciting. And we're just getting started. So.
Well, and just know this, and I've had outside people tell me this, and I know Bear and the C-suite know this, but we wouldn't have an outdoor without you because we had to have a validity because you can't just start the line. It's the same reason I'm here for tactical. Yeah. It's the same reason that I have, you know, why as a VP do I approve ambassadors? Because I'll tell you right now, that is how you keep us valid, keep us, legitimate. A guy like Blake Cook, to me, I can tell him what I need and turn him loose. You have the same thing with your crew. And I love that. I love the fact that we're building a very small elite team. I would say that the two things that I'm seeing in the last 6 months that tell me we're a rocket ship is the amount of major brands that are approaching us that want to part with us and the amount of people that want to come be ambassadors and reps for us. And it's kind of funny for anybody that's listening to this. I don't give a fuck how many Instagram followers you have. I am judging the person. You had better be legit. You better be a team player. And if you're coming on board this team, it's not for a dollar amount. It's because you believe in our ethos and mission and you want to be here for the long haul. If you're just shopping, going year to year on getting a paycheck, there's a lot of other brands that'll be happy to have you.
I just had a conversation, Jerry and I did, to do the pre-screening before they send them on to you.
Yep.
And the conversation basically had alluded to highest bidder vibe. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm not gonna push this through. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I can tell you if you do that same approach to Bruno, it's going to be a very violent no. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, you basically just described everything he and I both hate in this community. In this, I'm saying outdoor world is you haven't even worn our gear, and you just told me you're talking to 4 different companies, and you're just going to pick the one that actually pays you. And you literally felt that it was okay to present that to me. And I was like, I can tell you, Bruno is going to tell you to get fucked. Like, that's not going to go well. So we're just going to stop this conversation here. He called me back later and he was like, I've never really been, talked to that way. I was like, well, you should have. Like, I think that was a professional development conversation, because if I call you to say, hey, never worn your gear, I love the way the company looks, but I'm also talking to this company, and this company, never worn their gear either, but I'm just shopping around. That sounds bad, right? That sounds really bad.
It's not very professional, and it doesn't tell me like you want to come on board this team for the right reason. The ones I love the most, I just came back from the tactical games, is I met some athletes out there that are thoroughbreds in male, female, that had never worn our stuff. But the other athletes that were out there that are very high level that were competing in our stuff did the sale for me. And then they came by and they talked to us.
Yeah.
And we just were like, hey, this is our brand. This is our ethos. This is what we do. And the next thing I know, they're calling me up and they're being like, how do I become a part of this?
Yeah.
Because that is what we do. And the other thing, probably the only other brand thing I'll say is I am getting approached every day by whatever you want to call it, 501Cs, foundations, or everybody in the world wants a handout right now. They saw what we just did with Black Rifle for the Veterans Day campaign. I'll be very, very succinct in telling everybody this. I am an uber selective person of who we will work with in foundations and organizations. And if you're not directly supporting law enforcement, first responders, military veterans, or military, you're calling the wrong guy. That's my charter. That's who we're going to give back to. Born Primitive has a wider scope, but when it comes to tactical, that's my scope. When it comes to outdoor, there are some conservation and hunting things that we also bring into the fold. But just know that you'd be surprised how many of you have the same mission. There's probably 100 foundations right now for TBI. I got it. So I'm going to find the one that is by veterans, that has the best balance sheet, that's given the most back, and is well received in the community. I'm going to pick one.
There's a lot. It's the same on the conservation side. And I mean, obviously we do the same thing on outdoor. We pick the one that's one we believe in, that's making the most difference, because if and I mean this in the most polite way possible, but if we jumped on board with everybody, we would not have anything to give, because we would go bankrupt, right? You cannot give that much away. And that doesn't mean if we say no that we don't like you or don't respect what you're doing. But as a business, there's only so many dollars in free gear to toss around. And so we are selective with that. Nothing against the other ones, right? It's just part of being a business.
Yeah. Something to be said too, is if you look at what our actual give back is, and I'm just going to go right back to Veterans Day again, $25 million paired up with Black Rifle Coffee towards distressed medical veteran debt. That is the statement right there. And that is one of, I think, 18 that we did this year. My point being is we're growing this brand. And the way you grow the brand is by making a profit and reinvesting in the company. We're a privately owned company. We're not publicly traded. We have no investors currently. So we have to make something to put back into the company to go to the next level and deliver these new products. So that will never change. The day you see Born Primitive as a publicly traded company, I'm willing to bet you Bruno and Aron are no longer part of this team, because that's when the politics come in and it becomes a different animal. So, you know what I realized? We've gone a good bit of time here, and neither you and I in this entire podcast have fat shamed you.
No. You know what? I said Bill was fat.
Oh, you did. There you go.
Yeah,
so we got one.
I got that one. It's funny on the fat shaming thing right before we get off, because we do have to catch a meeting.
Yeah, we got a meeting.
I think what people need to realize is when you're fat shaming, you're doing it, and I not say you, me, you're doing it with the good-hearted intentions. Hopefully, because that's why I got fit is from fat shaming. It may sound bad, and I've gotten blasted about fat shaming, but it's like, I'm all for it if that makes you skinny, because whatever's happened up until this point, obviously it's not working, right? And so, because I don't know if you ever get hate mail from it, but I do as far as fat shaming, but it works, maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but it fat shamed me to being as fit as I possibly can be all the time. It's weird how people perceive fat shaming participation trophies. And this is a thing we could talk about for a while, but it's pretty simple. If you're unhealthy and you're unhappy, and if you're eating badly and you don't work out, magically, if you do those two things, your life fucking changes.
All of a sudden, your life just changes. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No,
I'll go a step further. You sleep better. Your sex is better. Everything in your life becomes better with fitness.
And if you're fat, you get skinny, your dick gets bigger. I mean, that's a win-win, right? I mean, it's proven, right? But yeah, I think people need to probably calm down on that. And again, if you're unhappy and you're unhealthy and you don't work out and you eat unhealthy, if you change those things, you're going to be happy and you're going to be healthy. It's pretty simple.
I'll tell you what, I cannot tell you how many DMs and messages I get from law enforcement, first responders, and military that said they have listened to this podcast and know the platform that I stand on. I have one gentleman, I've saved a text, I'll never get rid of it, that since listening to the podcast, he lost 27 pounds and he went from being a SWAT sergeant that was not well respected to he's now a baller team leader again, that the men are like, hell yeah. And he feels much better in life. And he said, it was something I said on a podcast that triggered it. And that's all I need to hear. I'm going to close this podcast out with this. And this is coming from the tactical side of me. If you are a law enforcement officer, if you are a first responder, if you are in the military and you are not in shape, you're in the wrong fucking career field. I'm 60 years old, I'm retired, and I still maintain, because your role when you're strapping on that gun belt, that badge, whatever it is, it's not you. You are chartered with going out and doing your mission to save, rescue, or help somebody else. And there is an expectation. There's an expectation of your buddy, your wingman, to be able to take care of him. So if you look in the mirror and you're not in shape anymore and everything is, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Put down the fucking Doritos, put down the fucking beer, get in the gym, get training, and do your mission, or go find another career field. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and I can say it definitely makes me stay on my toes because I know exactly where you stand. And we've had people approach us, working with us, where you've been like, oh, he'll never be in a fucking photo shoot with us. And so I know that. So I have to stay very fit as well because I don't want to get fat shamed by you. So I make sure and stay healthy.
So we work closely with First Form and we do a lot of cool things with them. At Western Hunt last year, I remember the leadership of First Form coming over to our booth and going, what the fuck is with you farm animals? You guys should be running our booth. And they are a fitness supplement company, but they looked at our crew and they're like, holy shit.
Yeah, no, at 6'1" and 220, 225, I was the runt of the litter in the group. And Kurt just asked me what I weighed. I'm like, dude, I'm down to 213. And I think he was at 216. So we'll see who's the runt of the litter at Western Hunter Expo.
Well, after tonight, you're both going to be over 220 after Fogo to Chow.
Yeah.
Aaron, any closing comments? We got to go to a meeting, brother.
As you say, stand the fuck by. There's a lot coming, and we will be making a stance, and it'll be a strong one soon. So.
Yeah, I think we are making a stance, and I think with what is going to get announced at Western Hunt by Aron Snyder, that you people are going to be like, oh, hell yes. If you're not, make sure you are following Aron Snyder's podcast. He's got a great following. I will tell you, if you didn't pick up the vibe on this, it is way deeper than hunting. It's way deeper than fishing. It's about men, ethos, good shit. It's a great podcast. It's honestly one of the few that I listen to. And then, of course, on Instagram and stuff. But we appreciate everybody tuning in today. Aaron and I are going to get back to work. And hopefully we'll see you guys. I'll be at SHOT. We'll be together at Western Hunt. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Hot Wash and have a great day. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow us at Born Primitive Tactical. I'll see you next time.